Hey there, Kara with Ice Cream for Buttercream, and this is video 3 in a 3-part series on making a large gum paste rose. And so in this video we're going to talk about how to make the leaves and how to color them to get a natural look. If you haven't watched the other videos, be sure and go and find them. I'll put the links in the description below. It will show you how to make the gum paste rose itself and how to color the gum paste rose. But for now, let's just get started making these rose leaves.
Okay, I'm going to show you 2 different ways to make the leaves. And the first one is using this little veining mat with a couple of little vein lines in it. It's kind of hard to see on the video, but you're just going to flatten out a piece of fondant, or actually gum paste, because you want it to dry firm. Put it on your board and you're going to roll it out a little more so that the gum paste goes into your veining lines. And I got to tell you, this isn't my favorite way, but I'm about to show you what I really like to use. But people are different and they prefer different methods, so I thought I would show you 2 different ways. There, and then you're just going to pull your leaves off. They're a little bit difficult for me to get off of this mat, so like I said, this is not my favorite method, but it kind of makes a little fondant tube that kind of goes halfway up or 3/4 of the way up of your leaf. And then what you do is you just take some wire. And I'm using wire that is a little too thin for this project. It's what I had on hand, and I had already started this project, so I thought, well, I'll just use what I have on hand, but you want to use a little bit thicker wire. And in the blog post, I've got all of the supplies that I've used and links. And you're just going to insert it, and that's why this is not my favorite, because I can't ever insert it properly. So what I like to use is this Wilton mat. And I've put a link in the blog post if you want to check that out, and that'll be in the link below as well. And you can only make 1 leaf at a time, really, on the Wilton veining board. So that's kind of the bad part about using that one, but I really prefer it better because instead of a tube there, it's just got this little line of fondant that's sticking up. Just cut your leaf out, and then take a little bit of water, put it on one side, and then lay your wire down, and then all you do is just kind of fold over the gum paste. That's why I like this, because I don't have to insert anything. And so you just keep going. Like I said, this one you can only do 1 at a time. But to me, it's worth it because it's just so much easier for me to use this mat. It's so much easier for me to fold down that fondant rather than try to insert a wire into it. And then I just add a little cornstarch on the back to sort of dry any water that was left. And you can do 2 different size rose leaves to sort of give it some variation. So just thin the edges with your small fondant roller. And then the other side of the Wilton mat is a little veiner. And I just take some foam and push down on it, and it veins it. Just a simple thing. And no one really sees the back of the leaves, so it works out pretty well. And now what I like to do is just take a little X-Acto knife, and I like to cut out just a little V's, just some little areas in each leaf. Don't go crazy, maybe 3 or 4 on each leaf. You're just cutting out just small little V's. And then I just pinch the base of the leaf, and then I'll set it on some foam to dry. Make sure they're not flat. And let them dry fully for at least 24 hours. Okay, so now we're going to work on the calyx, which is the base of the rose. Just rolling out some some gum paste. I've got fondant on the brain. Just stamp it out. I'm just using the Wilton cutters. So we're using our foam, and then take a ball tool and sort of thin it a little bit on one side. And then pop it over and do the other. And I just use a little Dresden tool, put a line up each of the points on both sides. add a little water, and then I like to pop it on a little bit of foam with a hole in the middle because I'm just going to insert my flower. It's so much easier to add a calyx this way. Before I started doing this, I would tear it every time I tried to add it, and then you just use the foam to sort of push it up against the base of the rose. Then you want to pop the little edges out just a little bit, curl them back. Okay, now we're going to make a little ball to go on the very base of that. I really don't know the scientific term for that, but I assume it's just the base of the calyx. Just roll the ball, put a little water on the base, and then you're going to run it up the wire, just like you did the calyx. Just push it on up, let it attach, and then you're going to just shape it. You just want it kind of like a shape of a cone a little bit. Just use your fingers to shape it down. And that's it. Just make sure that dries fully before you start to dust it with color. Okay, so we're using some kiwi petal dust. And I just use it full strength. I don't add any cornstarch to sort of lighten it up or anything. And I'm just going to dust it around the leaf. And I like to dust it heavier on the outside if I can, on the outside of the leaf. And then I also dust the back of it in case part of the back of it shows. Just going with the second leaf. And it's a little messy, but that's the fun part. And so whatever color of rose, since I colored my rose pink in the middle, I'm just going to go with the same pink look. Pink and a little bit of flesh color, and I'm just going to go up the middle of the flower. And it sort of, or up the middle of the leaf, I should say. And it sort of brings out a little bit of the same color of your rose. And now I'm just using a little bit of burgundy on the spots where I cut out those little V's, just to kind of darken it. It just makes it, gives it a little bit more life, makes them look a little bit more realistic. And you can also steam these to sort of give them a little bit of a shiny look. I tend to prefer the matte look, but when you use a steamer, just twirl it in front of your steamer just a little bit, and don't want to get it too close to your steamer, but it'll shine them up just a little bit, and it'll really set the petal dust. Use the pink up the middle, and then a little bit of your burgundy along the areas where we did the little cuts in the leaf. So to do the calyx, we're just using a little bit of the pink along the base of it, and then we're just going to use a little bit of the burgundy on the tips, and then we used the kiwi before to sort of color the whole thing green, but just a little bit of the burgundy helps bring it to life. So that's it. That's how you make rose leaves and dust them to give them a realistic look. Hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope it was very helpful to you. Don't forget to check out the other videos. I've linked them below in the description. So there's one on how to actually make the gum paste rose, and then one on how to dust and color your gum paste rose. See you next time.